Hello everyone, it's Christine and I'm back for our stitch along, and we have a rather strangely named stitch today called faggoting, but otherwise it is known as twisted insertion stitch, and it's used to join together two pieces of fabric. So the book describes it as producing an attractive join with an open lacy look, and it suggests that we use strong cotton or linen thread. So the book has a technique where you start by drawing on a stiff piece of paper two parallel lines 3 millimeters apart, and then you rule vertical lines or crossbars between the parallel lines at 3 millimeter intervals. So essentially you're creating a 3 millimeter grid like you can see in that first picture. After that, it suggests that you press under and finish the seam allowance on each piece of the fabric. So essentially making a fold in your fabric to make a sort of like a hem on it on both bits of the fabric. And then it says to align the folded edges with the parallel lines on your piece of paper and to tack your piece of paper to the fabric, which is shown in the second picture there. So basically the piece of paper and then the tacking either side. Now I'm doing something slightly different. I've just used a single piece of fabric, and then I've created a fold, like a hem along here and a hem along here. So it's got two folds in it. And then I've tacked down the each of those hems, I guess, all those folded pieces, and then I've used my friction marker which erases to draw my little, I think mine are probably more like 5 millimeters, and I didn't measure them, I just did them freehand. I didn't bring a ruler away with me on holiday, so I just freehanded them at approximately the intervals, and I've just put my little stitches just with a cotton along there, but we'll be taking those out at the end, I believe. So we then need a thread. I've just got myself a nice little relatively thin perle cotton in a nice yellow colour. And so we knot our thread, and then we pop through between one of our little sort of hemmed bits. So you're coming through just where the crease of the hem is. And then it says to put in a little back stitch, and you want to come through where the start of one of your grid lines is. Now this fabric that I'm using is a bit sort of, it tries to sort of split, so we'll see how we go. It's a very fine, I think it's like a linen blend, but it seems to be a more fragile one. It's one that I got as a sample from the reverse art truck. So I put in a little back stitch which secures the thread, and then we're going to loop the thread above the needle tip, and then keeping the needle vertical, pick up a few threads on fold of lower fabric at the bottom of the next crossbar. So I'm going to come over to this crossbar and pick up a few threads, and I'll probably just go through my other bit of fabric as well. So we're keeping the thread under the tip of the needle, and we're going to pull through, and we're going to get a nice little, can you see the little loopy bit that forms there? So we'll keep pulling that through, keep our fabric flat, and then we're going to come up again and loop the thread to the right, pick up a few threads on the upper fabric, and then ensure the loop is behind the needle. So we're always making sure that when we pick up our next little bit of fabric, we're making sure the loop is under the tip of the needle. So I'll just pick up another few little bits here. Because my fabric is a bit more fragile, I'll just pick up a little bit of the underneath fabric as well. But obviously if you had the paper, you wouldn't want to be stitching into the paper. The paper's just giving you a guide for your grid. And so then again, making sure the thread is above our needle, picking up a little bit of the fabric. See, it's quite a teary fabric, as you can see up the top, even where it's trying to tear. I'll just chuck cut that little bit off so that it's not getting in the way. So I hope you're having a great day or a great evening. So again, I'll loop that underneath and then come up here, take my little stitch and pull it through. And so you're just getting that lovely little lacy effect. And I'll be able to erase these markings because it's just done with the friction marker. So when I'm done, it will just have the lacy thread. So again, putting the thread above where I'm going to take my next stitch and just picking up a few threads of fabric and then pulling it through. And then up again. Oops. And so I quite like doing this even just with a single piece of fabric because you get that nice sort of textural element of the two little hems, and then you get this nice little lacy stitch. Oops, called a Travis hair in there. So we're still on holidays in lovely Bright, and Father's Day today when I'm filming this, but you'll be watching it after Father's Day. And so Alex's dad has been up with us with his brother, but they've just headed off back to Melbourne. And we're staying on for another week, which will be lovely. But Travis, we had a lovely day. We walked into town today. Alex's dad wanted to pop by the church and light a candle and remember his own father who sadly passed away on Father's Day, which is very, very sad, many years ago. I never got to meet Alex's grandpa or nono. We think probably my grandpa and Alex's grandpa would have got on very well because my grandpa was a carpenter and Alex's grandpa was into all sorts of woodwork and things like that as well. Sorry, I was just working out which direction I need to go. So we walked into town and visited Our Lady of the Snows because we're in Alpine Victoria. And they went in. I just stayed with Travis in the beautiful gardens where there were tulips and daffodils. Oops, need to make sure my thread is under the tip of the needle, not the other way around. Otherwise I won't get that nice little twisted effect. That is very, very pretty. And so after we then walked down along the river and then all the way back towards our accommodation along the river with Travis getting lots of chances to go swim and play with some other dogs. He's loving the swimming here and it's a really warm day. In fact, Alex and Travis were just out on the deck before I started recording this video and Travis just got too hot that he had to come inside. He's definitely a cool weather dog. That's why he likes his swims, because he gets hot very easily. We're not sure how he would have gone if he chose the career path of being a guide dog, because they have to go out in all weather, but in summer he's just much prefers to be in the air conditioning. That's for sure. Almost done on this, and then we can see how it looks. Okay, and so to finish off, we're going to put 2 tiny back stitches near a folded edge on the wrong side, and it says press and spray starch the stitches to set them. So yeah, if you are using the paper method, this would be the point before you put those tacking stitches in where you would, those final stitches in, you would actually remove your tacking stitches, which we can do. I'll just cut those. So these are just the stitches I put in before we started. I'll get my needle and use that to remove them. So you'll just pull out these little tacking stitches along here. On both sides. So they're just there while you're doing it, just to hold the paper if you're using the paper method, or even if you're using this method, it just means that your sort of hems stay put and you're not struggling with them. So I can pull that one out, and then this one, did I put a notch? Yes, I had put a notch there. Let's get rid of that notch. And we'll just pull these tacking stitches out. There we go. And then, so at this point you'd pull out your piece of paper if you had the piece of paper. If you've gone just with the fabric and the friction marker, you don't need to do anything here apart from going through to then the back of the fabric at the final spot. And then putting a little holding stitch in at the back. And you might want to do one at the bottom and then one up here just to hold your hem in place. So I might just put a little tiny stitch in there to just hold that down. And then I will tie it off at the back. And I'll then proceed to iron it. I haven't got my iron on right now, but that will remove the little lines, but otherwise you can see the beautiful little decorative stitch, which would be really lovely for borders as well. So that's a fun little one to do. So faggoting or twisted insertion stitch. I hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you back for tomorrow with feather stitch, and we've got a couple of feather stitch variations, so you'll probably want a decent sized piece of fabric to work on for that. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.